Hi guys, so today I'm going to touch, hopefully very quickly, on a question I was asked in my private Facebook community, Anytime Fat Loss. If you want to join, just search a group, Anytime Fat Loss. It was from Danny, and it was regarding protein timings for muscle gain, leucine thresholds, muscle protein synthesis. Now, muscle protein synthesis is basically building new muscle tissue, so the renewal of muscle tissue. Leucine is an amino acid found in food that, or a protein containing foods that signal muscle protein synthesis. So my original answer to him, and very quickly, was a large portion of protein every 3, 4, 5 hours throughout the day. To be honest, that's all you really need to know, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail about it, and also give you some calculations if you really want to get geeky about it. So like I mentioned, the amino acid leucine is what triggers muscle protein synthesis. There's a spike, and then you've got a period where it comes down back to baseline before then ideally you would spike it again, and that period's around between 3 to 5 hours, which is where my original guidelines came from. So you've also got different protein sources having different leucine content. So something like whey protein has a higher percentage of leucine in it than maybe a chicken breast, and a chicken breast may be something like your vegetarian sources, so quinoa, anything. So the calculation I'm going to give you, 0.3 grams to 0.5 grams per kilo of body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilo, you would aim for 30 to 50 grams of protein per serving. Now, if you've got something like whey protein, which, as mentioned, a high percentage of leucine, you can probably go with the 0.3 mark. But if you've got a mixed meal of chicken or something else, then it's probably a safer bet to push at the higher end, the 0.5 to 0.5 grams per serving. Spread that out throughout the day, you won't go wrong. You also need to consider your daily total protein intake, which we're going to go on to dieting in a minute as well. So another way of covering all bases without even doing the calculation, which I mentioned, work out your total protein intake for the day. So as a rough guide, that 100 kilo person, 2 grams per kilo, 200 grams of protein per day. Work out how many meals and snacks you're going to have, and just split that out in between them meals. And that will more or less cover all them bases as well. So Danny also mentioned in relation to fat loss. So this is where you need to really consider what your overall goal is. So if, for example, fat loss is your goal, but you still want to try and maximise stimulating muscle protein synthesis and possibly building muscle in a deficit, which is possible, then again, you would still aim for them large portions of protein that cover them calculations every 3 to 4 to 5 hours. But then take someone who maybe does intermittent fasting. They are potentially missing them windows to stimulate MPS. If you prefer intermittent fasting, you adhere better to intermittent fasting, and you will reach your goals quicker by doing intermittent fasting, then that is your priority. There's no point changing to a diet that you maybe struggle adhering to, and what could potentially take over your calorie intake, just because you're chasing what could possibly be very minimal gains. And like I probably didn't say at the start, this is optimal stuff. This is like getting things as perfect as possible, and we don't really live in a perfect world. So some take-home points. A large portion of protein every 3 to 4 hours. Obviously training on top of this, that has to be correct. If you're dieting, then it's not as important, but again, you can follow them guidelines as well. But from a diet point of view, whatever you adhere to best would obviously work best. Hope that helps. If anyone's got any questions relating to this video, or if Danny, if I didn't cover something you wanted covering, please ask in the comments below.